Okay, so it is October and it's starting to get a little bit chilly at night, which means that the Tradescantias I've got out here need to come in. There's my purple heart clippings, a blushing bride, another purple heart. And it's not really as simple as just, bring them in, because they most likely have some critters coming along with them too. So let me show you the process that I do for bringing any kind of plant that's outside, inside for the winter. So the steps I'm taking today are the recommendations of the University of Minnesota, and I have always found their recommendations to be pretty useful overall. You might find some of this to be overkill, so it's up to you to decide which steps you want to take and which you want to skip. One step that I am skipping is, one of the recommendations is, if your plants are small enough, you can give them a bath in soapy water with dishwashing liquid, but I don't really understand how that works. There's no images of it, and the thought of bathing my plants in a bucket with, does that mean taking them out of soil? That has to mean that, right? I don't understand that. I can't visualize that in my head. Maybe that's an ADHD thing, or I'm just not getting it. I don't know. So I skipped that part. So my step one is to first rinse off outside dust. Step two, dishwashing soap and water. We are going to wash down all of the leaves. Clearly that is going to be a big step. So to make this a little bit easier for me, I am enlisting the help of microfiber gloves. You can use a sponge, but I just find these to be easier because, I don't know, I just find them to be easier. Now, in the beginning, I had spoken just about my Tradescantias. Clearly, you can see I have other friends too. I have my aloe, which is giant and has always been a really big trooper. You can see it flowered actually this year. I've seen some reports that that might not be a good thing, but I let it flower because that's what it wanted to do, so I just let it. I have here this guy, Confederate Jasmine, a Tahitian gardenia, which I know as Monoi de Tahiti because that's a scent that I used to use when I was doing soap. And just a whole bunch of jade plants that started from one jade cutting I got from my mom. All right, now let's get to washing. I also want to be careful that I don't damage any of these stems, which is most likely going to happen. It's just the way it works with Tradescantias. Something's going to break, but luckily they're easily propagated. This guy has gotten so heavy over the years. Wow. University of Minnesota recommends going on the undersides of the leaves too, so make sure you get as thorough as you can, but don't drive yourself crazy. Your goal is to try and disrupt pests in their homes. And check out the soil too. Hey, here we go. Propagations coming through. as the University of Minnesota says, make sure you get the soapy dishwater in the soil too, but not too much. This one I'm particularly worried about because it had a spider web growing on it for a really long time. The spider eventually ended up moving away on its own. Okay. That part is done. As you can see, wasn't as awful as I thought it would be. Wasn't as tedious as I thought it would be, I should say. I'll just throw these in the washer with the next load of laundry and they'll be good to go. I love these gloves. They were such a good purchase. Next, rinse. It's time to rinse all the soapy dishwater off and rinse the pots to make sure there is nothing creepy crawly on them, but also not bringing in any dirt or soil or anything from the outside in. Also, I'm gonna tilt it on its side so any of that soapy water can run off out of the pot. Okay, home stretch. Now, it's time to spray with insecticide. So I will be using Earth's Ally. And we're just gonna spray, give it a very generous coating. Try and get the undersides too, since that's where creepy crawlies love to live. If you're like me, your hands will smell like neem oil when you're done with this project. And that's just the way it is as a houseplant nerd. I'm not thrilled about having to use this on my succulents, because I really hate using any type of water on succulents, any type of liquid. I know they hate getting moisture, and it always just seems to raise humidity around them. But they also can't live outside in upstate New York during the winter. So this is the compromise we all have to make. All right, let me get the propagations, the cuttings too. Now, the hard part is over. Let me get a crate so I can box these up and bring them in. Now it is time to put them in quarantine. Obviously, the Tradescantia and the aloe are way too big. There's no way they're gonna fit in my double-decker quarantine box. So what I'm going to do is put them in the laundry room with a grow light for 2 weeks and keep them contained, monitor them, and make sure that they didn't bring any friends along with them just in case. But everything else should be able to fit nicely into my quarantine box, where they will also live for 2 weeks. And then once they are done, once they have successfully completed their jail time, completed their deaths to society, whatever you want to call it, then most of them will live on an open bookshelf since they are succulents. But the Tradescantias I will probably put in one of my cabinets since they like humidity and would probably prefer to live there, especially as it will get pretty dry in my house for the winter. But there you go. That is how you do it. Now, as for my other outdoor plants, the ones that are actually potted into the ground, or the ones that are planted in the ground, what I do for those for winter? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Actually, even the potted plants that live outside, I don't do anything with. The lobelia, they have survived in pots for now 3 or 4 years, like champs. I've never wrapped them. They just sit there. They're good. The ones that have been planted here came with the house, except for the peony that I planted out front as Sarah Bernhardt. Sandra Bernhardt's not it's Sarah Bernhardt peony. That is a plant that I planted for our dead cat Jeter. And I brought it with us and didn't do anything special with that either. That also survived. The only ones that I really do anything with in particular are strawberries. They are in a tiered planter, and that goes in the shed, but I don't even do anything really special with them. Like, I just put them inside and see what happens. So should I do something else? I could, but I'm lazy, and yeah, probably not the best advice for you, but it's the real advice, just the reality of the situation. So yeah.